Hey everyone, before I get started, I just want to remind you that if you like my content, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and then join the Militiaman and Crew Patreon community by clicking the link in the caption. Good evening everybody, Militiaman and Crew. Just like to say hello and hope everybody is getting ready for a wonderful weekend. I'm pretty sure that in a lot of part of this country, everybody's feeling the heat. So let's hope Iraq starts feeling the heat, because I know they're going to have some hot weather coming too. But anyway, I think that what we're going to see tonight is that there's a correlation between a few things. You've got the Chief Justice talking with the Kurdistan region. You've got the TIR ready to go. You've got the Customs and Borders talking about 80% of that, of those that need to be hooked up to these systems. There's a pretty darn big saturation for Iraq is ready to make a big move into the international financial system. So this article is coming from an expert. It's economic stability in Iraq. So stability is a big deal. Calmness in the region is a big deal. And it identifies a prominent reason. This gentleman, Abdul Rahman al-Mashadani, okay, he confirms that Iraq is currently experiencing a degree of economic stability, attributing this to continued government support for the fuel sector and energy provision, and this is all for the citizens. The stability includes subsidized gasoline, diesel, and gas, in addition to providing free fuel to private generators to ensure that the continuity of electricity for citizens. That's going to be a big deal, and you got to realize that even big business is going to need electricity. It basically is talking about they didn't improve or didn't increase pricing for the amperage that they use in the provinces. So basically what it indicates is that they have relative stability in the aspect of services for the people. It's pretty cool. It says this stability could be negatively impacted if war continues, but what I started off with is relative calm at this stage, even in the last few days. Haven't heard too much about anything different, that's for sure. It says the calm of the government and the citizens, along with the end of the war, played a significant role in maintaining economic stability. Again, they've used this word 1, 2, 3, 4 times stability in this article. Basically, let's see if this this calm that they have stays calm, and if there was to be a storm, I hope it blows through and we keep moving. But if you think about the security and stability that they've been talking about for the last few days, last few weeks, and even months, you'll see that big business doesn't come into Iraq if there's risk, especially if you're going to spend billions of dollars. You're not going to go into a country that's got significant problems. And obviously Iraq's been on the future for the last 22 years, or let's see, 2003. Yeah, something like that. Been working at this, but you can see that this isn't the past. This is now, and it's secure and stable. And they have all the electronic systems. They have the e-government. They have the payment systems. They have the Ascada system, electronic borders. They have points of sale. They have all of those things. Everything. Financial inclusion. Okay. So this article here is in preparation for imports. Iraq is discussing with an American company the construction of a floating gas storage unit. When you come into Patreon, you'll see the size of one of these things. Now, they're not just going to go bring one of these into the Basra area at the port to have a problem. If they do, they're going to have the protection, because the bottom line is they're not going to want to lose how valuable that asset is. And if it's a United States asset, you could probably bet that we're going to take care of our assets, just like we always do. No different than Iraq wants to protect her assets. Excuse me, its assets. Anyway, the American oil price website, okay, talks about today. It says the Texas-based Accelerate Energy to establish a floating gas storage unit to assist in gas import process, and it's going to be located in the Khor al-Zubair port in Basra. It says the Texas-based Accelerate Energy is one of the bidders in a tender to provide a floating storage and regasification unit that would welcome Iraq's first imports of liquefied natural gas. And it says Baghdad, which is seeking to wean itself off Iranian gas supplies for power generation, is in advanced talks with Accelerate Energy regarding liquefied natural gas import infrastructure in Basra. It says Iraq's electricity supply problems have worsened after the Trump administration ended the waiver granted to Iraq to import electricity from Iran. So under this pressure to reduce its reliance on Iranian energy for years, Iraq began exploring alternative gas sources, including the option of importing liquid natural gas. They're talking about 20 million cubic meters of gas a day. That's a lot. That's crazy. Iraq signed an agreement with Turkmenistan for that. So they're going to diversify. They're going to get the energy they need because they're going to need 24/7 reliable energy to facilitate the Development Road project. And all the big businesses, they're going to want the most fast, secure environment they can get with 24/7 electricity. Look, if they're gearing up to do business with the United States, to me, that's a big sign. Again, 24/7 electricity is their focus. To bring this platform in, and if it's too risky, they wouldn't even be talking about it if there wasn't enough security and stability in the region. And we already talked about, they're talking about stability. They're talking about calm. And now they're talking about big business. And it's a good sign. It's really a good sign. And so when I talked about, the Chief Justice being in the Kurdistan region, he was in London. And what is London? Well, London is one of the world's largest money centers. So keep that in mind. So it says Zidane, who is the Chief Justice, discusses a number of legal issues of international interest at the Royal Institute of International Affairs in the United Kingdom, of course. It says that the fake Zidane, he says he discussed these legal issues at the Royal Institute of International Affairs at Chatham House on Thursday. It goes on and says that the head of the Supreme Judicial Council, Zidane, he met with a number of legal researchers, specialists in discussion sessions that addressed the nature of judicial work in Iraq and a number of legal issues of international interest. A little bit vague on what they're talking about, but not surprising. Look, the significance of the Royal Institute of International Affairs, basically it provides independent analysis on global issues influencing policy decisions. It talks about, it facilitates dialogue among leaders and experts and stakeholders that we've been talking about. It conducts research and publishes reports that shape international relations discourse, hosts events, discussions, promote understanding complex global challenges, emerging ideas, innovation solutions, international problems, and it also engages with a diverse audience, enhancing public awareness for global affairs. So obviously there's an interest for some of the brightest minds in the world in Iraq. And at a time where we see investment, we see security, we see stability, all to maintain sustainability. Here's this again with Zidane, the Chief Justice. He says, optimism that the salary crisis will be resolved through unconditional cooperation. It goes on and says that most notably the crisis of the region's employees, the salaries, stressing that the bet today is on that the presidency of the Supreme Judicial Council. So people are looking forward to this. He says there's great reliance on the head of the Supreme Council, the judicial one, to resolve disputes based on the belief in the justice of the judiciary and its ability to do justice for the people of the Kurdistan region. He goes on and adds that the regional government delegation, which will visit Baghdad in the next 2 days, so this came out today, so maybe they'll be there tomorrow and the next day, or something similar. It has clear intentions to overcome the existing complications, noting that the regional government has demonstrated the utmost cooperation with the federal government and will continue this approach unconditionally. That sounds pretty positive to me, especially when you start to think about what is taking place. We're talking about salaries. We're going to be talking about oil movement, talking about borders, trucking internationally. All of these things have yet to fully been integrated into the global financial system just yet. And so, but they're all coming together at the same time. I don't know about you guys, but I don't believe there's any coincidences to all these things, because what are they going to be related to? Well, one of them is going to be oil extraction costs. We know about that. We also know that salaries are related to them. They even talked about the amendment, Article 12 to paragraph C, relating to oil costs. Salaries were invoked in the same paragraph. We went over that in more than probably one video. Okay, despite the challenges, the regional government is trying to push for a fair settlement. The Supreme Judicial Council, Fake Sedan, what does he say? He says his view in Erbil as balanced party capable of restoring trust between the two sides. So they're basically looking at that cooperation is building trust, and that this time around, I think they'll get it done, because losing $25 billion for not having oil has to be painful. I know that it would be to my pocketbook, and I'm probably sure just about everybody else would agree. Okay, here's the company called Epcor. It's ready to resume Kurdistan oil exports pending payment guarantees. So we talked a little bit about salaries, we talked about the oil already, and you're going to see that it's fascinating. It says here that Epicor, it announced early Thursday that its member companies are ready to immediately resume oil exports from Kurdistan through the Iraq-Turkey pipeline once payment guarantees for past and future shipments are secured. Epicor emphasized that the reopening of the ITP would add over 300,000 barrels a day to the international market. That's a pretty big chunk of change of money that's not being earned. Basically, but it does say, it said that what remains is contingent on guarantees for outstanding and future payments, i.e. the government. The organization underscored the geostrategic urgency of reopening the Iraqi-Turkey pipeline, highlighting that it provides Iraq with a secure and reliable export route to global oil markets through the port of Cyan. Resuming exports through the ITP, again, adds about 300,000 barrels per day into the international market. They stress that the member companies are prepared to immediately resume exports once payment guarantees are in place. It says, well, they go back and talk about it halted back in 2023 in March. They've lost over 25 billion in income, and they're basically looking at it as the need to resume production. If their basic costs, like I talked about, cost of production, back to the budget, recognized by requires guarantees from Baghdad. So Baghdad's going to be on the hook for this. If they're going to get this deal done, Baghdad's going to be the one that's going to be taking it on the shoulder. Barzani also revealed significant progress in resolving outstanding issues, with only a few points remaining, mainly related to the scope of work, including assigned third party to review costs. Again, they're talking about costs. Now, again, back to the budget. 2023, 24, 25, we haven't seen the budget tables. You guys realize that? 23, 24 budget tables need to be exposed before Parliament gets the 2025 budget scheduled. That's where we're at with this. There's more to it. You can find it in patreon.com with militiaman and crew and our Discord chat room. So I hope everybody would like to come on in and join us, try it for 30 days, and come in and see the value. We love to have everybody, and that's on a global scale. Everybody's welcome. To me, it's not surprising at this stage that the borders, okay, we know that they have, well, we're probably going to find out a little bit more on this, but they have about 80% completion rates. The salaries in the Chief Justice's hands, they talked about that. We've seen the articles on it. And now we see a potential deal of oil getting to flow through the Cyan port again. All of these things are focusing on costs associated with production, etc. All of these things are exchange rate related, in my opinion. We know that the budget is related to all of these things because we haven't exposed that yet, and that's exchange rate related. We know that we believe, right, that Iraq is not going to go international, or she would have already at 1310. She hasn't done that, so do your research on that, because it's important that when you add in oil, non-oil, all of the non-oil and the taxes and tariffs and the efficiency of the banking system into a search on the reality of the circumstances with Iraq, I think you're going to find it's fascinating. So here's another article. It's about the customs, coordination with the region and unified pricing. It's the ports have strict measures to prevent the entry of prohibited materials. And of course, all borders should be taken care of. All of them should be, every country in the world should have their own borders, and they should have their own rules, and they should all get together and make sure that that's safe and secure. And people need to play by their rules, just like they should be doing in our country. All right, but they may not be doing that. All right. The Borders Ports Authority, it says Thursday, strict measures, quality control measures to prevent the entry of prohibited materials to ensure the safety of goods. It also notes that there was 189 companies have been identified for not complying with taxes, confirming customs coordination with the Kurdistan region to adopt a unified pricing system and strict monitoring. 189 countries weren't playing by the rules in the Kurdistan region. Fairly sure Barzani probably had a little conversation with the Chief Justice. So anyway, the Border Ports Authority works in more than one area within the ports, especially with regard to maximizing revenues through activating oversight, auditing, and monitoring the passage of goods, ensuring that they meet the required conditions and their stability, suitability for human consumption. And it also takes care of the movement of travelers and providing services to them. All of that, so that basically strict decisions, procedures are in place for port personnel to prevent the passage of all these goods, etc. So basically, the authorities activated checkpoints. They're basically monitoring custom procedures. They're adopting unified procedures, and for a single customs price. Again, they talk about the 189 companies that were identified. And I'm assuming there's going to be consequences for that. Basically, they said they have failed to pay taxes in previous years. Okay, so there could be a lot of money that's going to be clawed back, which goes to the state treasury. That supports revenue. I mean, it supports a real effective exchange rate, too. It helps anyway. It says this measure, what they're doing, will enhance the state's revenues and constitute an important step in holding negligent parties accountable within accordance to the law. Basically, strict monitoring of customs in the Kurdistan region is going to likely cease most of the corruption that has been an ongoing thing, and as they stated, it's been going on for years, likely in the billions of dollars, and if they were to claw that money back, it goes to the treasury. So I would imagine there's 189 companies not paying their share are going to have a problem, and they're probably going to get held accountable. Not a bad thing. And here, this article here is about customs, again, because why? The customs, all of the things that we're talking about are going to have to do with international trade. Here we go. 80% of the control and monitoring center projects to all ports has been completed. And just as the TIR has been set up, it's been tested, the trucking, cross-border payments, they've all done that. The project is one of the most vital projects currently being implemented by the authority and aims to establish a central system for monitoring customs around the clock, 24/7, including all customs centers in Iraq through direct and immediate network connection. It says the project is progressing according to the specified timetable, so they have a specified timetable. I don't know what that specific is, but Al-Sudani has been talking about specified timetables, and we're seeing a lot of these convergences coming to play. We are at the last quarter, second quarter, finishing it up, first half of the year, 2025. And basically it says this project is progressing according to those specified timeframes, and it will open soon. So it hasn't opened completely, and is full and begins its full operation as a central operations room for performance monitoring all the ports. And he goes on and stresses that this project will directly contribute to improving institutional performance, boosting the state's public revenues, again, back to the citizens and our real effective exchange rate, okay? And reducing smuggling and violations by activating and preventive oversight. Again, I'll reach back to all the smuggling that's been taking place in the Kurdistan region and elsewhere, okay? They're going to have oversight, and they're going to be preventing that. And hence, could have been some of the issues that they had to overcome. But 80% completion rate is looking good. There will be a lot of boosting to the public revenues, as they say. This new electronic systems are far more efficient than they ever before. We've never seen what we're seeing today. And being fully operational is, from what they're saying, is just around the corner. So all of those things you take into consideration. You've got the salaries under the Chief Justice's hands. You have the Cyan Port company ready to go, Acaport, right, for moving oil, and salaries are ready to be paid. So oil, salaries, trucking, customs, all coming together. Fascinating stuff, you guys. I think everybody should be happy, because I totally am. It's awesome. So if you like the content, thank you for being with us. Hit the like button, subscribe, and once again, all of you that are so generous to help out, keep us going, we appreciate that. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend. Once again, guys, don't forget to hit that like button if you like this content, subscribe to the channel, or join us at the Militiaman and Crew Patreon community for even more exclusive content. You can also donate to this channel by hitting the links in the banner to help keep this page up and running. Your generous support is greatly appreciated, as always. Much appreciated. Thank you so much, and have a great day.